With your book, Future Human Mobility, your company takes a look into the future and the future of prosthetics and medical technology. How will this future look like?
So on one hand, of course, our main objective is that to restore and make the nature functionality, which every human has, to move a leg, to move an arm, to just be able to work, to restore that. And on the other hand, we try to make that better by digitization. What does it mean? So we try to embody or embed artificial intelligence into the devices. We try to put the devices closer to the body, so to really combine and attach human and machine to another. We try to make it smarter. So if you have something like services, IoT, within the devices, it would be great if your device can recognize certain things. If you're in leisure or if you're at work, if you want to cycle, if you want to walk, to have that. And of course the whole process is something which we are looking at with digitization, where we think that things which are handcrafted today can be much more convenient, can be easier, can be more personalized with the help of digitization.
Responsible innovation has certain different elements. One of these elements is to involve users, to involve citizens. How does Ottobock involve lead users, citizens in the development of new devices?
Let's take a general situation everyone knows. If you are not a parent, still you give a lot of advice to others because you seem to know the situations, how to handle kids and what to do in certain situations. But once you become a parent, suddenly you realize that these advices do not really fit to the situations. And I think asking, involving the users within prosthetics, orthotics and so on is similar to the situation. Although we are tried already in the past a lot to understand the users and the people who really use our products, still it's something different to involve them, because also it's not about only understanding, but also sometimes, I mean, communication is also about misunderstandings, right? So involving them means they can reassure that what they said and what they meant at the beginning when they told us about a specific situation and a certain need, that we have understood it right, because they see different stages and then they can reassure, they can try it out. So we have a development process, we have different smaller communities which we involve into the process to make sure that we are capturing those needs and those misunderstandings more easily, more directly.
Involving users in lead innovation processes is a quite well-known method. Are there any specific challenges in the health sector?
Oh yeah, then a challenge can be that you are tied to the medical device law. And the medical device law regulates when exactly a user is allowed to use a certain product and to try it out. So you have different hurdles, you have different documents you need to hand in, and it's of course for the security for a patient, because no one wants that any harm is being done to somebody who's trying something out. And if you're trying out a leg and you humble and stumble on the stairs, then of course certain injuries can happen. So it's important to have those regulations, but on the other hand, it also makes it sometimes a little bit challenging, let's put it that way. Challenging to apply that in a daily life and to make co-creation in all instances as you would maybe envision.
When co-creating new solutions, new devices, intellectual property rights might come in. Do you think that's a challenge for companies to deal with intellectual property rights in co-creation processes?
I think it's definitely a topic which needs to be solved. However, I think it can be solved. So it needs some more attention to see where does intellectual property start and what's really happening in those communities. So when it's just a description like in design thinking, I mean, it's nothing different. When do you just share your situation and describe of what you need, and where does really then the product development start? So I think the more we move into co-creation, the more those issues have to be solved.
To co-create innovative solutions sometimes needs the collaboration of innovators and lead users, and trust is an important prerequisite for that. How can we establish trust and foster dialogues in such communities?
To me, you establish trust by really, first of all, being open to what the other brings to the table, and then also be there, hear what the person is saying, not like in today's world, right? Have a lot of other things to do at the same time, but really paying attention, really hearing what the others are saying, really give open feedback to it, and be there, recognize, and also make recognitions for the good things. And I think if you bring that to the table, then this is the basis of trust, and trust is something which builds over time.
Is it necessary to meet in person to build up trust, or are online communities also capable of building up trust?
I think we are getting there, that online communities itself can build up trust as well. Maybe you're quite open to share a community with others regarding books, talking about books, but maybe you're not that open to share a community regarding any disease you have, because it's a lot more personal. Or maybe it's the other way around. You're much more open to talk to strangers about your disease, because then you feel safe, you don't feel the blame, or you don't feel that anyone has an issue with your situation, while in person that might be a topic to you.
Does new media, the social media, offer your company new opportunities to collaborate and to exchange with users?
Absolutely. That's a whole totally new story to us. Our company is a manufacturer, or has been for a long time, been a manufacturer of devices, and sold that to an infrastructure. In Europe, a lot of times it's being called workshops. And they were serving then the user. So for a long time we didn't really get to see the user. With help of social media, we suddenly can talk to those who are using our devices without having an infrastructure. So it offers us to being in direct contact. It offers us to also see, I mean, people are sharing their situations. They're making videos, they're talking about what they have experienced and how well their device has been working or not working, what were their challenges. So also just listening, observing, wasn't possible, at least to such an extent, when social media wasn't around.
We talked about your company getting in touch with users, but do they get in touch with each other as well? And what's the benefit for them?
They are getting in touch. So I think everyone who is in such a situation and needs some support is looking for others who have had the situation and maybe have just good hints and tips on what to do better. Or how to approach certain situations. So they are looking out. However, it's not that easy, at least this is what we are observing, to really get in touch on a broader scale. So they are, like in any other industry, you find influencers who have acquired already a broader community, but there is not this one community. And this is actually something one of our major intents to participate in the Livin project. That we want to investigate more if there is a need and what can be in for the user and for us to have a bigger, broader community. How many can we serve? What are the topics people would like to discuss there, to find that out, to give it a chance, and to see if also that can be a service, a benefit for the users.
In the area of responsible innovation and co-creation, what support from research and what support from policy making would you need?
I think we already have some good cooperations with research. We have a whole department which is working with universities and other academic institutions together to make sure that things which are being done in research are also transferable to the companies and vice versa. So I would say at least the first steps, the baby steps are being done. In terms of policy making, I think there are some issues about openness. We talked a lot about technology, cloud. Everyone is looking for a smarter solution, wants to have everywhere availability, but on the other hand, you have very strict data protection rules. So to have clearer guidelines and also guidelines which balance the value you get out of it versus the risk, I think is something which policymakers should take a better look into, because sometimes the regulations which companies are imposed at I think might even stop companies from providing certain services which might be helpful for the user. So taking a closer look, really talking to the people and not just making decisions on a green table would be something I would be happy to watch if that's happening more and more.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.